I got to talk to Alison. She is a shark biologist. She works with great whites. She's in South Africa. She's been on like Air Jaws, and you've seen her a ton. And I'm just so excited that we got to meet. Here she is.
Okay, so my first question for you is, what is your favorite shark?
Well, I kind of feel it's a bit cliche to say these guys, because obviously they've had loads of attention in Shark Week, and I'm sure a lot of the people you've interviewed have said great whites. And look, these guys are the reason I gave up my entire life in the UK and came down to South Africa and worked for very little money to study them, because they are my everything, and absolutely my favorite. But let's put them to the side and consider other species. Right there next to them for me is the basking shark. Yeah, love them. So, yeah, I mean, very much British sharks. Actually, never seen them before, which is terrible on my part. You know, that whole thing of, well, they're there on the doorstep, I'll get to it one day. But I mean, they're just incredible animals. They get over 10 meters long. You know, they do this really cool thing, actually, in the UK waters, which I don't know if you know this, but the Brits are inherently terrible at reporting on sharks in media. Standard.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like there's any sighting of a shark in UK waters, it's always one of these, but it's actually not. And you know, it's like a scene from Jaws. And what basking sharks do every like third summer or so, they're massive animals, and they come along the UK shoreline and show their dorsal fins off, and then all the tourists run to shore, and next minute the headlines are, you know, huge killer shark in British waters, which is not the case.
Yeah.
And these guys, you know, they're just like plankton eaters. They're swimming around with their mouths open, filtering, you know, algae out the water and plankton, and getting on with their thing.
Yeah.
But they have the ability to kind of like evoke that response. So I love them for that. The fact that they're, you know, they're kind of, I guess, wrongly reputed as being, you know, this threat, and they're actually really harmless and wonderful. And they can breach as well. There's no air jaws show on them, but a paper came out last year that shows that they can actually breach out the water. So
that's amazing. That's really cool. I love that. Good answer. Okay, well then my next question is a sort of follow-up. What is your least favorite shark?
So I saw on one of your previous interviews that one of the favorite sharks was a cookie cutter shark. And you know, science is all about challenging things. So no, cookie cutter sharks have to be right down on my list. And it's hard to say a least favorite when you're passionate about sharks, because there's so many incredible diverse species. But I mean, a little shark that swims up to other animals and doesn't like finish them off, just bites a perfectly round circular biscuit shaped hole in them, leaving the animal susceptible to any infection afterwards, and then swims off. I mean, it's kind of like a bully at school that like goes to the gym class and steals one shoe off a kid. Like, do it properly, or, you know? So nah.
I'm not kidding. That kind of thing happened to me. So now you've convinced me. That's funny. That's the same least favorite shark that Jimmy Partington has too. Because they they like are always around for his tours, but then don't actually show up. So then they sound like they're like making them up, and they just sort of mess with them and don't actually show off for guests.
So there's like a calculated element to them as well.
Okay, great. So my next question then is, obviously sharks are number one. What is your second favorite animal?
So in 2014, I almost left shark research to go into primatology, because I became fascinated with mountain gorillas. So here in Africa, north of where I'm in South Africa, so north of where I stay, we've got Rwanda and Uganda, which are the only refuge for this species of gorilla on the planet. And I was very lucky. One of my best friends, who's from Nebraska, turned 40, and she said, let's go. So we went up there and we saw the mountain gorillas, and they are just incredible. I mean, they actually face a lot of the conservation challenges that white sharks do in Africa, with poaching and, you know, being so reliant on the tourism, keeping them worth more alive. But I lost myself in them, you know, and I love the fact that the science field for them is quite female led, you know, Diane Fossey and, you know, Gorillas in the Mist, and they're wonderful animals. I actually have a little replica of a gorilla from my trip. Yes, this is a silverback.
The bag. That's so cute.
So these are carved out of wood, and when you do the gorilla trek, then they have these for sale at the end of it. But yeah, just, I mean, to see a silverback mountain gorilla in the wild is something that you can only see if you go there, like a white shark.
Yeah.
And you cannot captivate them. You can captivate Western lowland gorillas, but not mountain gorillas. So yeah, they're my next favorite, on par with white sharks, I think.
Yeah. Well, okay. So my next question. I based these questions on the like Inside the Actors Studio originally, those questions. So my next one is, what shark fact turns you on?
I laugh so much at that question, and I wonder if this answer has been presented before. I'm sure it has, but the fact that we've never seen these guys mating, so we've never seen white sharks have sex anywhere on planet Earth, given the amount of attention they get on Discovery Channel, the amount of investment in filming them, putting people like Jimmy in, what was it now, some kind of vortex made out of glass, and Dickie in God knows what contraption, and so much investment in filming these guys, but no one knows where they had sex. I love that fact. That just adds to their elusivity.
No one has said that, and I absolutely agree. I think that's like my favorite like party thing to throw out. I'm like, but did you know? Did you know we don't know? Like, yeah,
exactly.
Amazing.
I'll be so disappointed actually, to some respect, when they do film it. As much as it's great for their, for the science and the conservation, it'll be like, damn it, like now they've got no privacy. So,
yeah. Oh, they had their last stand.
Yeah.
Well, then, what shark fact would you say turns you off?
So this is a great question. I have two friends from Scandinavia who are marine biologists, both females. So one works on marine mammals, so she does a lot of killer whale research, and she goes to Iceland quite a lot. And the other one's from Denmark. She studied southern right whales down here in South Africa. And both of these girls told me about living in Iceland and the delicacy there, which was peed on shark. So you imagine beef jerky. Down here in South Africa, we call it biltong. So like the flesh of sharks gets sold and dried out as like a delicacy. But the one in Iceland really tastes of like urine because of the ammonia in it. So it gets like peed on shark. So what really is disgusting, this fact, is that we've just realized it's Greenland sharks that they're catching for this delicacy. And well, I mean, Greenland sharks live, now we know, over 400 years old. God. So you're chowing down on your shark jerky, and it's like probably an animal that was swimming around during the American Civil War, during like the post-Tudor era. And now you're pumping away on this piece of yummy like shark jerky. So gross.
That's so depressing. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, and depressing.
Oh, that's so sad. No, I'm sad. No, look, I agree. You these are opinions, but I agree with yours. So this next question is very Shark Week based. Who, aside from yourself, do you think is the sexiest Shark Week alum?
I really struggled with this question, because is there a set lineup of Shark Week alums? Is there like a whole, I had to like go look and see who's there.
There's a lot of consistent people that show up year after year, but really just anybody that's been on Shark Week you can pick.
Okay. So let's align sexy, or else it sounds creepy, with like prestige and like James Bondism.
Yes.
So David Ebert keeps appearing and rediscovering species of sharks in places in Southern Africa and Western Indian Ocean. And I was actually on a film shoot this year on the Sardine Run with a whole bunch of guys, and we were out on a reef off of Durban, which is full of tiger sharks and bull sharks, and it was a horrific weather day. I mean, so bad that when we rocked up to the site, I'm saying to the film crew, are we calling this? There's no way we're diving. We got in. It was actually great underwater, but the conditions were bad. We got back to shore, and it was like, well, that was obviously the worst day that you guys must have been out there. And they were like, hell no, David Ebert was here a week ago and he was out in worse conditions. And I'm like, what? So he's amazing. He keeps going. He's setting the bar way too high for anyone else to follow in his path. But I guess that gives him some prestige as an alumnum. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. my ears always perk up every time he's on, because I have a friend who is not him, whose name is also Dave Ebert. And I'm always like, what?
Oh no.
And so, like, it always throws me. And I'm like, wait a second. So I'm like hyper aware of him, because every time I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always like have to double take and be like, no, that can't be my friend.
That's going to be confusing.
It's very confusing. And he would probably love it if he was on Shark. So question number 7 is, what is the biggest shark mistake you've ever made?
Oh, so many. I mean, the amount of time you spend out in the field, I guess there's a proportionate increase with how many mistakes that can potentially happen.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the work I do, it doesn't actually really get across on Shark Week. So for example, the drone thing now with breach off, I seldom use drones for research. So what I would usually do is be acoustic tagging or tracking. So have a hydrophone, in the water and following them around. But this is all equipment that is really expensive. So, and particularly if you consider we're dealing with South Africa's rand, which compared to the dollar is such a weak currency. I mean, like divide 18 or something ridiculous like that. So whenever we get this equipment from the States, i.e. Vemco acoustic transmitters, they're worth their weight in gold. So you want to get them actually on the sharks. And, if you look at trying to align your ducks on a day of research out there, you need all the conditions to play in to have a successful trip. So I myself, I'll put my hand up and say, shark mistake. I have gone to tag a shark before, and actually I didn't put the float on the tag. So the tag bounced off the shark. It's negatively buoyant. So there goes $800 to the seabed. And actually Dickie was on board at the time, and we would have organized a dive to go down, but there was literally 25 great whites at least around the boat. It was off Dyer Island. It wasn't happening. So yeah, and it's not the only, I mean, I know various people as well who've had like little Hawaiian slings to deploy the tags on sharks, like mini spear guns. And as they've gone to prep them and pull the elastic back, bing, off goes the tag, and
just gone.
There's just no coming back from that. So yeah, unfortunately, it's expensive mistakes with sharks that you often make.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the next question: would you rather watch Jaws 3 or Deep Blue Sea?
See, that was the easiest one for me to answer because, I mean, I am such a fan of Jaws, but Jaws 3 never made the cut for me. I mean, as a kid, it was always Jaws 1, Jaws 2, and Jaws 4. The guys are out on the ocean, the sharks in the ocean, there's the whole elusivity of it. Why put it in an aquarium and cast a terrible bunch of actors and then have a terrible storyline? So I'm sorry if I'm offending everyone, but Jaws 3 was not a firm fave as a kid. So I would give Deep Blue Sea that one, given that they had a really novel storyline. I like that. You can't discredit Samuel L. Jackson. He's awesome. So yeah, no brainer.
Yeah, perfect. Great. We'll watch it. Okay, question 9. Would you rather, this is assuming you are surrounded by sharks, would you rather cage dive in a wetsuit, but the wetsuit is stuffed full of fish, or swim, just like free dive completely naked? Surrounded by sharks.
Okay, so did you obviously thought of these questions, right? I love the way your brain works. So is the shark in the cage with you, or is it just outside the cage?
It's just outside the cage.
So, that one. Yeah, no. Naked free diving is way scarier than encountering any shark, I think. So, and actually here in South Africa, one of the initiations many moons ago when I started with this work was your first time in the cage, as you've seen a white shark and they lift the lid open, they actually empty the whole chum drum of sardines over you. So you're basically coming out the water, picking bits of pilchards off your face. And so effectively, I've been there and done it anyway.
You've already done it. Easy.
And I'm still here.
Yeah. Easy choice. Just get covered in fish.
Exactly.
All right. Well, my last question for you is, if you could have any shark-based wish come true, what would it be?
That's a really good question. So I had to think long and hard about that, because I thought, do I want to make this funny or do I just want to be honest? And I just want to be honest. So my biggest shark-based wish would be that people had just stopped fishing so heavily for them, you know, like the EEZ in the Galapagos now is lined with huge fleets, and industrial fishing has moved so far away from the concept of just traditional angling to feed, you know, a village, let's say. It's gone really big. So there's so few places in the ocean that these guys have refuge. And I guess my biggest wish is that I don't think there's any lack of knowledge now. I think the world's pretty aware about it, but gosh, just give them a bit of a break. You know, that's my wish, that eventually governments will start to decide, right, yeah, we should probably rest off in that part of the ocean, and not just say it, go out there and actually enforce it, pay people to police those areas, or turn it into a viable exercise where the animals are worth more alive. Make it, if you can make it ecotourism, go that route, but just stop fishing them out, man. That's definitely my biggest wish.
Yeah, I like that wish. I hope that wish comes true.
I know.
Yeah. Well, okay, well then we've reached the end of my questions. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for answering, and thank you for being here.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you for having me on the show. I've really enjoyed it. And I've really enjoyed watching all your other ones. I have to ask you a question.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw that you said on Breach Off you would like a Barbie of me. So initially I found that really funny. I was like, wow. And I was trying to imagine a Barbie with gumboots on, a peak cap, sunglasses. And then I was like, you know, and I thought, I would like a porcelain doll of you, because you are so beautifully, like, yeah. So if you get the drone Barbie with the gumboots, can I have like the porcelain doll with the little sharky?
Well,
can we trade that off?
Yeah, we'll trade off. That's so funny. Every time I get hurt, my mom calls me a porcelain doll.
Yeah, that's exactly. So like,
oh, my little porcelain doll.
Oh, I like your mom.
That's so funny.